All right, today we are joined by David Lawrence from Michigan in the United States of America. He is the owner of MECA, or Michigan Elite Conditioning for Athletes. Dave's been in the strength and conditioning industry for quite a while now. He's mentored under some of the best people in the world, including Charles Poliquin. He actually had the opportunity to present along with Charles in Montreal just in 2018 at the Atlantis Strength Summit. He's also the father of 5 children, so we might get a couple cameos tonight. And he's primarily known for, I would say, his promise of 3 years results in 3 months and the football and for football strength and conditioning. So Dave, tell everyone a little bit more about you, your story.
Thanks for the intro. I've been a strength coach since I was 23, so I'm 36, so that's 13 years. And I love it. I've trained athletes in almost every sport, over 30 sports now. The most known for football, but I love training all athletes, and training athletes that I don't normally get to train is really cool too. So anyway, I have 3 gyms, and we have 40 employees. Hopefully at the end of the quarter, at the end of the year, we'll be around 50. So we have to hire 11 people right now. We're having trouble meeting our demand, the demand right now for what we do. So it's really cool. It's a absolute blessing, to be honest. So it's really cool.
All right, so how we're going to be doing this is a question and answer format for the most part. A bunch of questions were posed in advance, and it seems like the main questions people have for you have to do primarily on the business side of the industry, more so than the nuts and bolts of in the trenches work.
Yeah.
So I'll pick a nice little random question. But I won't go with that one asking about your love of house music. Someone asked, are your coaches, trainers independent, and are they staff? And when they get clients, do they do what they want with them based on their knowledge, experience, or is there a hierarchy or format for the way the trainers, coaches have to follow? That is the MECA way.
Yeah. So all of our trainers we call them W-2, so they're full-time employees. So there's no independent contractors. We just did an audit on our business versus the rest of the industry. And there's things that we have to improve in our business. But the thing that I'm most proud of is that we offer the best benefits in our industry. So like everybody knows Lifetime Fitness or Good Life Fitness, right? Our benefits are much better that we offer our trainers than Lifetime Fitness, which is a publicly traded company. So everything is very structured in our business. There's things that need to be better and need to be improved. But when a trainer comes in, they have like a 90-day onboarding process with us. It's extremely rigid. They learn, they have something that they're going to learn every single day when they're at work, and it's planned out and mapped. And it takes, so then you would call it entry level or apprentice or junior level coaches. And then you'd have senior level coaches, and then we call them master level coaches. That's how we have our different tiers. And basically, everything is very structured. We have a very good internal education system that we spend a lot of time on. And each employee in their first year gets on average about 8 to 9 hours of education a week. So, and it's, and I actually shouldn't say, yeah, cause they get trained 4 times a week. So, I should say for sure that's true for the first 6 months, but it would be very close for the full year. So everything is very structured and in our business. And no one would like come in and say, hey, we're going to do X, Y, Z. There's a process that we follow with everything. So
Actually like how you worded that as well. All right, so then, okay, this is a series of questions, it seems, that are all piece by piece. But okay, so what are your current testing protocols for structural balance assessment, traditional clat, rocker, wobble, sit bit, overhead squat, or have you morphed this over time?
it's been morphed over time, but it's we use all of those except we don't use the sit fit anymore, and we don't use the rocker board anymore. And then we'll add different tests, basically different power tests and different speed tests. So we're something that we're getting back to that we were really good at before COVID hit was we were really good at testing like sprinting splits. For some reason, that went away, and we're bringing that back now. But what we do is we test speed, we test broad jump, vertical jump. We'll do a triple jump test. So we'll do more power-based tests with our athletes that are 14 to probably 21, 22. And then a lot of our pro athletes or higher level athletes, most of them, it would be inappropriate to test power because we'll have guys like at the end of a football season that if we tested their vertical jump, it would probably be 28 inches, 27 inches because they're so banged up and they're in so much pain. It's not, and at the end, just getting them out of pain, they can utilize what they could potentially do. They'll jump, between 8 and 6 to 10 inches higher just because they can walk again. I mean, it's a lot of the transformations that people see from us. It's the athletes come in and it's cool, but the athletes come in, they're so banged up and they're so detrained that you can put a lot of muscle mass on guys very, very fast because they've been there before, or they're very good genetically they're very genetically gifted, but they don't eat food and they don't sleep and they do like instead of sleeping 8 or 9 hours, it's Mountain Dew and Red Bull, like literally at 12 p.m. and they won't sleep till they'll sleep from 4 a.m. till 9 a.m. and then they'll get up and train and eat cereal or won't eat. And so that's the kind of athletes that before they start training with us, people are like, oh my gosh, how'd you get good results? Well, we work with a lot of genetic freaks that are very poorly trained or very detrained, and they have a lot of pain. And so just cleaning up their diet and getting them to improve their life makes a massive difference, obviously.
So from that, actually, I have a question about your triple jump. Are you doing like a traditional triple jump of hop, skip, jump, or are you doing 3 contacts on left and then you test the 3 contacts on right type of thing?
We do different exercises that do that, but we would do like a penta jump, but just make it 3 jumps, like a broad jump. Yeah. So with 2-footed. But like literally, I get a bit nervous testing kids, to be honest, because a lot of the kids, we try to be a bit safe with testing and just try to find out where we need to orient the program and then go from there. I don't like to over test, but we spend between 30 to 60 minutes testing each athlete that comes in. But you do a clat test and a kid, falls off a 1-inch platform and his knee like goes sideways. You're like, okay, we know his knee's weak, or his ankles are weak or they're tight. So there's no point in going through a ton of different testing if you already know what the problem is and you know where you're going to start your program.
So from that, with the testing, do you have like a standardized testing that you just apply? It's kind of like apply to all regardless of what athlete comes in, or is it differentiated based upon like their sport? Like if you're dealing with the football wide receiver, it's going to be different than male American football wide receiver is going to be different from a female European football, aka soccer.
I would like to say yes, but no. And the reason that it's no, we have so the reason why it's no is because the level of physical conditioning is quite poor. So it doesn't matter because there's like, right, like, you know, when you train a lot of athletes, they go through their season, they're playing their sport for 8, 9, 10 months. I mean, you could do some things, but for us, it's a waste of time because I would say, especially with our upper echelon athletes, we are just trying to get them physically able to play and be healthy going into the season most of the time. I would say 80% of our NFL athletes that we get, or our NFL athletes that we get, are like coming off some kind of issue, whether they had a major injury and now they're going to train with us because they have to, or they're pretty banged up and they got referred from a friend. Most of the guys that train with us, they only train with us because they have to, because it's a contract year or they've had an injury, and then we'll train them and they'll get traded to another team and it's like, see you later. So we have a few guys that have trained with us for a long time, but the majority is it depends on where they live and team to team. So we're training a soccer team, a national soccer team right now. We're training the entire team, and they're all over the world so we're doing it on mostly virtual. And the physical level of conditioning for this national team is so poor. And like, there's no point in doing there's like even no point in doing advanced plyometrics or advanced testing or even strength testing because a lot of the girls can't do 5 push-ups. Yeah, they're very skilled and they're that's why they're on the national team. But you know, and it is good to do testing, but it also has to do with how much time you have too. So
all right, so the next question from the same person is, from a business perspective, do you pitch all clients on nutrition, metabolic analytics, bioprint, biosignature, whatever you want to call it this week, as part of the onboarding battery of tests?
You can't train with us unless you do nutrition.
That makes a whole boatload of sense. I'll try not to cuss to not be a censorship.
Yeah. What are people coming to us for? They're coming to live healthier lifestyle and get in shape. And most people don't know what that means. So we have at each site, we have a nutritionist full time at each place, at each location. And they work with every single client. And then they work with all the trainers. So it's very collaborative. And the nutritionist and the trainers are highly incentivized to produce results with their clients. So, and then there's like a set way we do things with our clients. Like there's basically 5 things that we ask them to do outside of training. And we basically try to nail those 5 things in. And then after that, we get more specific with like supplementation and different lifestyle intervention things. But we really try to get people to build habits that are going to make them healthier. So
I like that. So I'll go on to another question that kind of ties in right with that is, how has having an FDN, I believe that would be functional diagnostic nutrition lab approach to nutrition, how has that impacted results? And because this person was told that MECA uses an FDN-P on your staff and it's been beneficial, they're interested to know what impacts it has had with results in athletes and general population, and the impact on how it has impacted your business directly.
FDNP, like a functional diagnostic. Can you say that again?
So it's FDN-P, I believe that's Functional Diagnostic Nutrition Practitioner.
With most of our clients, some clients need that level of care, but most of our clients, they need to eat 3 meals a day. They need to drink water. They need to work on trying to go to bed consistently at night. And for athletes too, it's really, really, really important. A lot of people, I'm a big fan of supplements. I think they really help me out a lot. They help my brain, especially. I've been able to learn much better, and it's helped manage my stress and different things like that with supplementation. But supplementation does not matter that much if you have huge holes in your lifestyle. So, sorry, there's a question here. So that I'm getting.
Yeah, it's asking maybe if the question was referring to food sensitivity. I don't know if that's what the question was actually referring to or not. So I'm not going to try to answer for Jonathan DeWolf. But
food sensitivity testing is
something that you're stressed out with 3 gyms and 5 kids and a wife. No, there's no stress in your life.
All right. Yeah.
So the next question that was, what are your favorite ways to develop overhead strength?
Favorite ways to develop overhead strength? Number one, do it. So, most people are poor in overhead strength because they haven't trained overhead. If we do the structural balance assessment from PICP, and I would say almost everybody is weak overhead pressing, just because they've spent the majority of their time bench pressing. Like for example, for myself, I've spent the last almost 21 weeks with trying to improve my overhead press, and now my ratios of my overhead press are better than my flat press. And I just started emphasizing it and training it. So then I have to spend more time now on my different angles of pressing, but more flat pressing now. So most people just don't take the time to do it. So methods would be like, they want a progression, single arm dumbbell shoulder press. I would do seated. The next phase, I do seated unsupported shoulder press. The next phase after that, I would probably do seated dumbbell 65 to 75 degree incline press, and then standing overhead barbell press. That'd be like a 12-week progression. And I would do that like one day. And then the other day it would be heavy emphasis with like rotator cuff work and trap 3 work and in neck actually. Yeah, there's a lot that you can do, but I really like for shoulders, dumbbells over barbells for me with shoulder work most of the time, just because in a lot of sports, in a lot of athletes, they throw with the right hand, or they play hockey with their one side dominant, or lacrosse, or whatever it is. So even in a sport like football, where you're a defensive end on one side and you're punching and retracting and grabbing a certain way. So I really do like using a lot of dumbbell work early on.
Yeah.
Great minds think alike.
And I assume that you complement that as well with with various pulling exercises as well, just for that balance, just so that someone doesn't ask that down the road.
So like a series progression, if you want to call it that. So
yeah. And then, what grip methods do you like to incorporate into your athletes' programs? I see grips becoming a bit more and more on people's minds these days in their training programs. It's nice to see that.
Yeah, we've got a few $1,000s of grip like stuff at our gym. Yeah, it's so, but we use a lot of thick grip implements. Just using different variation of arm work. So like using different bars on different positions, um, doing like direct extensor work. I'm not a huge fan of a lot of flexor work, but we'll do some. But we have like a Captain Crusher like gripper that we use. We have different machines that are just grip machines. Actually, there's this Iron Mind. I think it's Iron Mind makes these finger extensors they're like little bands that you can use, and they're really really good for working extensors with all your fingers. So that's
You
like
can also get them broke.
okay, yeah, yeah, exactly. I actually for the money, that's probably the best grip piece because you're working on extensing and like opening the hands. Because whenever you grab, like in sports, you grab somebody to throw to have a to be able to pull them or throw them, or you grab a barbell or a dumbbell or an implement, you're always bringing down, and sometimes you training the counterbalance is much better. So I think that's a good piece of equipment, if you will, for the price. I don't think you can get anything better.
And for those who don't know, the thick grip dumbbells that Dave's referring to, he's got basically every version at this point available. He's got the 7, he's got Black Iron Strength, he's got Watson. If another one comes out, Dave either already has it or he will have it.
I'll tell you the best one, honestly, right now, I've been impressed for the dumbbells for the price is Black Iron. I'm sorry, not Watson. Their newest version is the new Watson dumbbells. I was very, very impressed with. So Simon, I talked to him. He's done a really good job with that. And I actually bought him because I saw him on your podcast or interview, and I was like, I'll give them a try. So yeah.
The thing I like that they've done is they've smoothed things down. They've made it just look really nice. And before, I think it was Ben Prentice mentioned it to someone I know that the bolts on the end were catching some people's clothes, and no one wants their stuff to be ruined by an expensive dumbbell. And now, like, they don't do that anymore. Like, they found ways.
So they fixed a few problems, but that was one of them. The thing I didn't like about them is the gnarling dug into your hand on the grip, and so now it's smooth. It feels really good in your hand. So it was a bit uncomfortable before, but for the price and the look and the feel, you can't beat it. I'm really really impressed. So they've done a really good job. It's much. I got to try all the versions up until I think this is version 5 or 6. I could be wrong.
It's at least 3. Like it's the third full one, but I think he's up to like 6 of like intermediate and full versions.
Yeah, it's such a better upgrade from the first and second, but it's a really really good quality dumbbell. And I'm impressed, and I like a lot of their bars they have too. We have those in our gym. So
yeah. And for other people who end up watching this, the difference between a regular dumbbell is usually they're about between 28 to 30 millimeter diameter. The Watson dumbbells are 50 millimeter diameter, and the actual handle of them rotates. So it takes pressure out of your joints on any pressing or pulling or curling exercises. So it feels really smooth. And the other great thing about them as well is if you buy a set for your gym or whatever, they brand the end plates. So it always looks good. We live in a social media era. You get that on there, looks beautiful for the gym. It helps you brand yourself. And of course, who doesn't want to, if you've got influencers in your gym, all of a sudden now your gym is being advertised to thousands, hundreds, thousands, or millions of people for free.
That's a good point, for sure.
Yeah, like Simon's always open to ways to improve his products. That's what I like about like him and Tom Grace from Black Iron. They really like to improve their products to make it the best possible. Makes them
Tom's a really good guy. The price just keeps going up. It's a bit unaffordable for the common man now.
Yeah,
Um,
like part of that's out of their hands too. Like take a look at all material, like wood in the US, you still have to donate a kidney to afford plywood.
yeah, yeah. You can delete anything you don't want out there.
Oh no, this goes into the group raw.
Perfect.
All right, so now we'll get Yoni's questions, and so he's not going to watch. I figured I'd save his for a little later to keep them enticed. So, do you believe in giving your clients "quote unquote" homework?
We expect and require our clients to do things outside of the gym. Yes. If they don't, what are you going to do in 3 or 4 hours a week? And someone like lives whatever lifestyle they were living before. It's you'll get some strength improvement and some muscle mass improvement, but for a very limited time. So, and that's in someone untrained.
Yeah. And then from that, do you get your clients to show up early to warm up, or do you prefer to supervise their warm up?
So we have a dynamic warm up that all of our clients go through. And I think the dynamic, and they're supposed to show up 15 minutes early. They don't always, but their dynamic warm up, I think, is one of the most important aspects of the workout, because with a lot of general population people, they don't move anymore. And so a lot of your clients that are going to come in and you've been training them for a bit, they've probably been doing strength training, but it's a fixed movement pattern. And maybe they're doing pressing or they're doing chin ups and they're getting good at training a body part, or they're getting good at strength training. But like moving your body through space, and you would not believe how many people have forgotten to skip, and how many people have forgotten to like you have a 42-year-old accountant who's been sitting at a desk for the last 20 years and they haven't skipped since they're in 5th grade. Yeah. So just getting people to move, and elasticity is something that's it is a relative term. Okay, so but improving elasticity on improving coordination, improving even running mechanics to a certain degree. Like we don't work on running mechanics, but we're getting people to move their arms and getting people to do high knees and butt kickers and to do basic skips and to do karaoke and shuffle and in their dynamic warm up. These are things that people haven't done and they don't do. So if you're training a lot of general population people, one of the best things you can do to improve just their physical qualities in their life is to incorporate a dynamic warm-up. Our dynamic warm-up is not that long. It's probably 7 minutes. Some dynamic warm-ups are ridiculous, which I can't stand. I can see it if you're an elite track star and you're about to, do your workout on the track, and it's part of getting ready for your sport. But for everybody else, I'm not a huge fan. So
yes, but for that population as well, it's not to warm up to do a lift and work in that regard. Is to get themselves neurologically and their tissue prepped for the demands that they're about to face. Like if you're trying to go and like you just had a thing where you trained Cindy Sember, who's a 100-meter hurdler for the United Kingdom. If she's getting ready to race at the Olympics in Tokyo, a 7-minute warm-up just ain't gonna fucking cut it, because her nervous system's not even gonna be switched on at that point. It takes 20 to 30 minutes just for these athletes at that level for their nervous system just to start ramping up, to calm their nerves a little bit, to get ready for the environment before they can even put their spikes on, to then do another 10 to 15 minutes of specific tissue and neurological prep and motor pattern prep for the event that they're about to do. And like hurdles is a bit more technical than just running from point A to point B. So they need a more direct and definitive warm up for that. Like Whereas if you're warming up for the gym, you don't need to spend an hour like warming up. You're wasting time.
A lot of people do. I remember our strength coach in football, our warm up was like, our dynamic warm up was like 25 minutes. And I honestly think it made the guys weaker in the gym because they were pre-fatigued. I'm dead serious. It's insane. It's like 25 minutes of continuous. Yeah, I mean, it's like you just skip 2 miles. I mean, really, like at least probably at least a mile we would do for the warm up of like running mechanic drills and speed drills and things that, and then our workouts were another hour and a half, which, and like, when I say an hour and a half, it was literally an hour and a half again in the gym. And then we would do conditioning after that. It was horrendous. So
a lot of lean guys though.
Well, the staple diet at that time was peanut butter and jelly, muscle milk, and bananas. So that was actually, we had you wouldn't believe it, Tony, we got a packet, like a meal packet of like what the things that we should be eating. And it was, if you want to gain weight, you eat, I'm not even lying. You eat 5 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches a day with 2 or 3 bananas and 5 muscle milks. And that gives you a XYZ surplus of calories. And it was all like on top of what else you should eat. So if you're just trying to lean out, or if you're trying to lose some weight, you'd have 1 or 2 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches a day. And the dietitian and the strength coach put together all the macro and micronutrients that you would get from peanut butter and jelly and bananas and muscle milk. Everybody,
well, they're not wrong. You will gain weight.
Right. Everybody was bloated, stressed out, fat. We had a ton of really good players on our team. And our first game of the season, you're supposed to travel like 65. This is my junior year in college. And you have about 105 guys on the team. And the top 65 guys travel. And only our like 38 of the guys made the trip because everybody's injured.
Oh, fuck.
I'm not even kidding.
So you played offense, defense, special teams, and water boy.
Yeah, right. Basically, but no, like, so a bunch of freshmen had to play. And so we had just come off of winning a championship. Tony, we had on this team, there's 9 or 10 guys on this team that played in the NFL. One of those guys is Antonio Brown. So everybody knows Antonio Brown. He's one of the best receivers. And we lost our first game like 56-14. It was a bloodbath. And we had half our team playing. So, and we ended up coming back and all the guys were injured. I ended up getting injured that year. And after my injury, I got 2 weeks off. And after that, I started playing lights out because I was able to recover. Because everybody was blown out going into the year. They tracked our how many miles we ran in the off season, because that was like really important to the strength coach. Yeah. And we ran something like 52 miles of sprint work between the month of June and July. 52 miles of sprint work.
Fuck me.
Right. Well, it was like, and the thing is sprint work again is relative. It was all sub-maximal, so no one got faster. Every single person on the team had shin splints.
Yep.
So everybody just got slower. But yeah.
Oh wow. All right. So the last question that Yoni had was, in another interview, you mentioned something to the effect of every trainer getting shadowed once a week and provided feedback. Does this also apply to the head coaches of each location and you, yourself? Any tips on finding the right balance between participating in the session and being completely hands-off, unobtrusive?
So we have like an audit form that we go through. It's a really good, I don't want to say it's proprietary information, but it's all the things on it that you would expect to be on it. How is the customer interaction? Um, yeah, how does this coach form, tempo, range of motion, uh, um, all the things that you could want or you could imagine being like if you looked at a coach in a gym, say, hey, is this a good coach? Is he doing a good job with his client? It's a 2-page form. Everybody's graded once a week, and the head coaches are graded not as often. They have like a different grading system that we use, and then I have a people that shadow me. Whenever I train a client, there's usually 1 or 2 trainers that are shadowing me. I wouldn't say grading me, but just shadowing. So and trying to pick up something here or there. So
They're picking up when to yell at the client or when not to.
yeah, yeah. I think it's really important to encourage people.
Oh yeah.
So in a lot of trainers that think they're good, but they could be better, to just give more positive feedback. And when be very demanding, I think people should be very, very demanding of their clients and have extremely high expectations. But also when someone's giving effort and they meet those expectations, you should give praise and let them know that they do well. That's really, really motivating for people because in our society today, most people uh, would rather tear somebody down than build them up. And one of the things that we really work on with our trainers is building confidence with people, having very high expectations and making things difficult, but also when they achieve and being there trying to help them achieve, but when they achieve, making sure that you know that what they did was awesome and that you're really proud of them and always kind of pushing them for more. I think that's really important, um, especially in today's day and age where people. I love personal training because you're not distant from people. It's not online. It's real, and there's real human interaction, and that's something that's missing in our society. So many people. I don't want to say it's fake, but it's a different kind of interaction. It's not as close. It's not as there's likes and there's comments and there's this shadow of social media. But the cool thing is, and anytime you or me go on Instagram, how many ads do we get for the 6-figure online coach, right? It's like it's unbelievable. But that's not how you produce great results. You produce great results by being with your athlete every single step of the way. And if you're a good coach, you know when to push more, maybe when to pull back. Maybe you need to give something different because the program's not going well. I rate the program and I change at least 1 or 2 aspects of the program 80% of the time within the training session. Yeah, 80% of the time, I change 1 or 2 aspects of our program in the training session because maybe the athlete is progressing faster than what you normally would expect, or maybe I wrote a bad program and I have to regress a little bit, or maybe I need to pull back or cut back on volume. You can't get that online, and I love results. I love producing results, and I love human interaction. That's something that we're missing in our society is just talking to each other, being present with each other. That's one of the best things about being part of team sports is you have a camaraderie and a community and a brotherhood or a sisterhood or whatever you want to call it of a team that's working on something together. And one of the things that COVID really did for me is it really made me appreciate people a lot more. And it really made me appreciate togetherness a lot more and how valuable the time that we have with each other is. So I absolutely love personal training. I love being in the gym with my clients. I love being in the gym with our trainers and building a team. Um, there's so many people that are a bit more individualistic, and I think in society one of the coolest things that we could kind of bring back is more of that team approach and trying to help each other. With everybody has goals and everybody has dreams that they want to fulfill in their life, and having people along the way to be part of that journey with you is really, really important for success. So those are the things I really enjoy about training. Just ramble on there.
No, that's good. And like going back on that point of where you change things on the fly, like when you've got like athletes like the younger athletes especially who are probably concurrently also doing their sport at the same time as seeing you, do you find that with them you might have to change the volume or the setup a little bit more on the fly? Say they just came in from from their sports session and they're just kind of dragging ass, and you got to change things a little bit more. Might have to change the order of days just because they had a brutal soccer practice because coach was mad they lost on the weekend, and punish them with conditioning. And if you already have them do legs, you might have a few people just pass out with the bar on their back.
Yeah, so that has happened, and one thing that we've gotten really good at is negotiating our time with our athletes. That's something that I did not get good at until about 3 or 4 years ago. And I actually went to a seminar with Charles, and then I talked to him privately about this. And that's one thing that I think people, especially young strength coaches, we're just trying to get hours, and we're just trying to work with people wherever they're at. And now where our business is at is we demand a certain amount of time with athletes, and we space it out. So we usually have people's weeks or months in advance, because we have a manager that manages our schedules in the gym. And then all of our trainers kind of, we try to set it up for the athlete to have the most success as possible. There are times when a team's in the playoffs and they weren't supposed to, maybe they've been training with us and they maybe are going farther. And so schedules get adjusted and that sort of thing. Maybe we train upper body instead of lower body or something like that. Or maybe we cut our volume back quite a bit. But that stuff does happen. One piece of advice, if I could give to trainers and coaches, is negotiate your time with your athletes and coaches. If you're out of season, we won't train you unless you're going to train 3 days a week. And that goes for general population too. But we really push super hard for 4 or more, because we're only going to be, it's like you could be the best strength coach in the world. I could be the best strength coach in the world, but if I only get to see you 1 day a week, it's not going to matter. Or if I get to see you 2 days a week, it's not going to do much. So there is such a thing as frequency, and you can't train. Maybe you can't get someone 4 days a week for 52 weeks. That's not realistic, or you shouldn't even do that. But maybe I can get someone 4 to 6 times a week for 6 weeks. And then maybe they have a pause and I train them for 2 days a week for another 6 weeks. And then I can get them back full time in the gym 4 to 6 times a week for the next 6 weeks. And then they're off. So it just depends. So I think negotiating your time, and then really it's also important to set expectations on what's going to happen outside the gym. So for like, hey, what you're going to be eating XYZ amount of food, all of your meals at some way, shape, or form are going to be dialed in. We have like a meal prep service that we use too, that really helps with our clients, and that's a big thing. So it's we have 2 meal prep service. One's an organic meal prep service that the meals are about $12 a meal, and then there's another one that is like restaurant quality. It's good quality, but they're as low as $3 a meal. And so anybody can afford that. And it's not organic food, but it's restaurant quality food, and they do a really nice job for what you get. So there's a price for everybody. And so we try to tell people that there's no excuse not to get your meals in. So
I like that. And so I'm just going to backtrack a little bit to that point where you were talking about like the different kind of like feedback, giving clients feedback. I remember Charles talking about like, and I'm just curious if you've noticed kind of the same thing he has, or if you go a different route of like male athletes. Like I'm going to speak strictly about competitive athletes at the highest echelon of sports here. Do you find that male athletes need more positive reinforcement, or that they respond a little bit better to being challenged with a bit more of like grow, like buck the fuck up and get to work here, or and that female athletes respond better to that positive reinforcement? Or do you find that it's basically the same for both? It doesn't really matter. You just got to find you just got to find how to give them the right timing of that positive reinforcement instead of trying to always challenge them.
Everybody's different, but the most important thing is to be direct. One thing that pisses me off is coaches that try to play mind games with their athletes. And most coaches that honestly that suck at coaching, they what they do is they get into female sports. I'm being dead serious. And they're not coaching the men's sport, so they're going to coach the female sports. I love coaching females, probably more so than males, because some of the coaching is so horrendous. Like all the athletes that I train that are female, they're highly motivated, great athletes. They'll work their ass off to do whatever. And I see so many times where coaches want to try to play mind games. Be effing direct. Be direct with, hey, you're good at this, you're not good at this. This is where you need to go. I think it's always good to challenge male and female athletes. But the biggest mistake I see in coaching is people that try to play mind games. And it's a very stupid and immature thing to do, because what you're doing is you're taking the athlete's objective off what they need to do. They're taking the athlete's mind off their real objective, and they're trying to see, what the hell is my coach trying to get me to do, instead of just telling them what you need to do. You're a coach, not a psychiatrist. You're a coach. You're supposed to help your athlete improve their technical or physical qualities. And so being honest, being direct, being compassionate and caring is important, but just being direct and being upfront with people is very important, because that crystallizes what needs to happen next. So people don't, that's what you're supposed to do as a coach. You're supposed to clear out all the BS, and you're supposed to give a roadmap for their athlete to help them achieve success. You're not supposed to clutter it. With males, it depends on the males and females. We both work with people who are very highly competitive, so having them challenge themselves is a good thing. I really do believe in trying to be positive when appropriate, not overly positive. I would say when I first meet somebody, I talk a bit more and I'm a bit more demanding. And then when they get it, I kind of shut up a little bit and I let them automate themselves and train themselves. And I push them one way or another way, but I let them try to figure it out. I really try to help people build lifelong skills of understanding how to train themselves, understanding how to eat appropriately. When they're in the gym, I over cue at first. When I'm training someone, I really try to put them into the position, you should feel that here. And then later on, like maybe in their training cycle, I try to get them to self-regulate. And later in the training, I'll ask for more feedback. Hey, how are you feeling with this? Do you think this is working? So that I'm a bit intuitive of a coach, but I ask for a lot of feedback too from my athletes once I've built some trust with them, and that they trust me and I trust them to be able to give me the correct feedback when I ask them a question. So.
Yeah, so first you look to build that trust and that mutual communication before you let them take the reins of it. I like that. And especially that whole point of coaches playing mind games. You can tell you've definitely worked with enough soccer and male coaches in soccer when you're in female soccer when you mentioned that, because that's what happens all across the board in that sport, pro, collegiate level. And part of it is coaches start to put their own ego over top of the athlete instead of, doesn't matter if you're a sport coach or a strength and conditioning coach, both egos stop at the fucking door. It's about getting the athlete to their potential and to their performance, not about you and your ego. It's about the athlete at the end of the day. Because the other thing, if the athlete doesn't like it, they ain't, like, if they have the choice, they ain't going to be coming back. So strength coach doesn't get paid.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. One of the things in our industry is people, we're here to help people. And sometimes strength coaches and technical coaches take on their athlete's success as their own. And we all do that to a certain degree. But when you start saying that the only reason this athlete achieved was because of me, that's when you, like, I've trained enough athletes where, yeah, we can really help improve. And there's some guys in the NFL that I've trained that wouldn't be in the NFL if they didn't work with me, because they had bad injuries. They didn't have the physical abilities at that time to get there. And they had tried other things. So there's guys that helped. But at the end of the day, people are where they're at because they're great athletes and they have huge amount of drive to achieve their own goals. There's a reason I'm not in the NFL or in the Olympics is because I don't have the ability. Or my ability passed me up, right? I love coaching and helping support, but athletes make themselves, and coaches, we're just fortunate enough to be part of the journey. And if you're a good coach, you get to be part of more journeys, which is really cool. So
yeah. So we'll use that as our way to tie everything in, because that was a great way to kind of finish off with. So I'd like to thank David for taking the time on this Saturday evening. It's actually been basically almost exactly 1 hour. I just looked at the clock. Great little tidbits for coaches of any experience level to take on. Whether you're the world's greatest coach, you're not. I'm not saying Dave isn't, but no one is the world's greatest coach. We can all improve our skill set, whether it's technical skill set or the coaching skill set, the art skill set, I guess would be a better way to put it. So Dave, this is where I'm going to give you the reins to tell people where they can find you, whether it's social media, email, however you want to go about it, how people get in touch with you, and what's coming down the pipeline for you and MECA.
Oh man, probably Instagram, MECA Strong is our handle. That would probably be where to find us, or our website, mecastrong.com. We launched online programming about 6 months ago, and it's going really, really good. So if there's any coaches or athletes who want to look into that, that's always a good option too. And you get full nutritional consulting with that every single month, which is something that we do with our online training, which is really cool. So what's coming up? We have next year, we're looking to launch 2 more gyms in the next year. So you heard it here, I guess, first. We'll see. I think we'll be able to do it. Like with our business, I just want to keep doing what we're doing and building a better business, to be honest. So that's and help more people. That's kind of the goal.
So I'm going to give Dave a shameless plug here. He said before he's trying to get some more staff. Right at the beginning of this, he said he's looking for more staff. So if you're in the Detroit, Grand Rapids, where's your third one right now?
It's Detroit. It's two in Metro Detroit. So yeah.
Okay, so if you're in the Detroit area or Grand Rapids, Michigan area, and you're looking for a job working for one of the best in the industry, reach out to Dave. He onboards people, and he went over how he does it, where you shadow, you learn. It's a great way to do it. You're going to learn a shitload. And as he said, he's looking to open up a couple more facilities in 2022. So there's going to be room for growth for you. And as he also mentioned, he gives some of the best benefits in the industry.
All right, thank you for watching right to the end of this video. If you'd like to see more content by me, click the subscribe button here. And for another YouTube suggested video by me, click here. And if you liked what you saw today, don't forget, click the little like button below. Until next time, Coach Tony, Wrestling Podium Performance.